Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching this live feed. Happy Monday. It is a great day in the city of Brownsville. We had we had a great weekend. The mothers, all the moms had 2 days, which they got spoiled. We should spoil them every day, but nonetheless, they got recognized on Saturday and on Sunday as it should. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Louie Tijerina. Louie, good morning. How's your day going today?
Hi, good morning. Doing all right. Just getting the week started.
We just before we came on live, we did talk about how Amazon. We did get the news that Amazon is going to make Brownsville a distribution site in the near future. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's a great announcement. I mean, that's a big win for I think the industrial sector of for us. I mean, having Amazon here is just it's. I work a lot in the retail area. Everybody always follows Starbucks and Chipotle in these big cities, and so for industrial, everyone's seeing, hey, Amazon's here. Everyone's going to see, hey, they have a airport, they have a land port, they have trains, they have a spaceport. So now that just puts a lot of eyes on the community. So hopefully that's just kind of the first of many things we'll see coming out of our industrial sector.
And you said it best, and you deal with this on a day-to-day basis, so to speak. Individuals such as big corporations, Starbucks, McDonald's, they do their market research. They go beforehand, they study the dynamics, geographics, the income levels. The telling sign for me, Louis, the very telling sign, I live close to the airport. I'm 2 minutes away. Highway 4 is literally right around the corner. To me, the telltale sign that something was up was when Starbucks started developed or built its latest store across from Garcia Middle School. Again, there are talks that the Port of Brownsville, is going to be expanding. We have LNG that is going to be exporting energy, gas to Asia. That was my first sign that something big is coming in the area.
Yeah, I think you feel it all around. I mean, with all the announcements, and I think they said there's going to be 25 launches now, like two per month. So, um,
I'm not sure if I'm losing you. I may have spotty internet. I do apologize beforehand. Uh, 25 launches. Is it fair to say, Louis, that now the city of Brownsville is opening up its doors for business? Because I have a difficult time, Louis, because I sympathize, I reason, I understand the logic behind those individuals that are up in arms. How can you give away our beaches? That to us Texans, to us here down in South Texas, that is one of our most prized possessions. Is it fair to say that now Brownsville is opening up for business? Who cares about the environment per se?
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's about. I don't think we can say who cares about the environment ever. This is our home, and this is the place that a lot of us grew up. So I don't think the people that grew up here want to see anything bad happen to our environment. But of course, the people that grew up here, I know you said it on your show before. We want a place to be able to come home to. We want an economy that works for everybody. And so if this is an avenue that's going to be able to lift all the boats that I kind of talked about in the campaign, if everybody's going to feel that effect, and we can be good to the environment still, I mean, I think it's a win-win situation. So everyone that's up in arms, I mean, it's hard to stop this big train that's coming. But I think it is up to our leaders to make sure that we do protect our home.
And that's very important because again, we can make arguments for both sides, but at the end of the day, I think that's what every politician wants. Everybody wants to have a thriving economy. Everybody campaigns on, what I want to bring. Your main thing was I want to bring HUB to my district.
Yeah.
Now that Amazon is in the works of opening up shop in the city of Brownsville, um, what is there to expect? Is Brownsville going to be the futuristic city, so to speak?
I mean, I don't know if it'll be the futuristic city, but I mean, the fact that Starbase is building out there, I mean, and all these people are going to, either be out there or be in Brownsville, just means that, there's just a lot more to come. There's, houses are being built. The amount of starts that we've got right now are, still outpacing the national average. And so it's, it's a good day to be in Brownsville, but it's, with growth comes pain, there's always growing pains. And so I think that's kind of what we're feeling right now. Cause when I was campaigning, there wasn't, people don't feel it, people don't feel it in their homes, cause right now the national economy doesn't reflect what's going on here locally.
Yeah, and again, it's very telling for and Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, they are closing its doors in McAllen, which to me is very surprising because geographically, McAllen is perfectly situated because they have to the north and to the south. I believe Amazon opened up its doors in Sherryland. Um, do you know? Do you have it? Could you give us any details in regards to this Amazon facility? Is it going to be a distribution site, or what kind of site is it going to be?
I'm not too sure exactly the site it's going to be. I remember, so I have been working on some properties, both in Mercedes and in Brownsville, and it was about maybe a year and a half ago. And we did have developers reach out that were Amazon developers. They were looking. I believe at that time they were looking to build two 1 million square foot distribution facilities. So the understanding I had at that time was that they were trying to do something around Mercedes to try to get like Mid Valley. So yeah, when I heard this announcement, it was it was a surprise. But I think probably if I was them, what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to spread it out. I don't think that will be the only facility in the valley. And what will be interesting to see is how they use that facility. Is that facility just for distribution in the valley, or is it last mile going into Mexico? Because there could be other ways that they're using it, because we have to remember that Amazon controls all their distribution. They really don't use a lot of third party, so they can be using our proximity to Mexico also as a way to get goods in there.
I never thought of that. And when you really think about it, it's a great play because again, Brownsville is centrally located. Because if you're in McAllen, maybe that is a longer distance towards inward Mexico. But is that a possibility, Louis, of international commerce to where Amazon could dominate that market?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about it on the campaign. I mean, if I was working in the city and on the airport project, I mean, we talked about it. Competing with consumer travel is going to be hard. Southwest, hard to compete with that in Harlingen. Direct flights to Mexico, direct flights to Vegas out of McAllen. If we're going to utilize our airport, why not try to buddy up with Amazon? Rent some space to Amazon. Hey, they can get out. I mean, it's the same distance to Dallas than it is to Mexico City from the Brownsville airport. So there's ways to utilize that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that might be something that's on the horizon too.
And that's very clever. Again, these individuals, they do their due diligence whenever they invest millions, if not billions of dollars. Market research has been conducted, years and years of study has been done. I talk about Louis. I have a friend whose dad has an amazing portfolio, and he opened up a business here in the city of Brownsville, and he himself was out on Alton Glore clocking the amount of traffic, and
Oh yeah.
he did his study, and then he broke it down to say, okay, each car could bring me $7 per stop, and there's Alton Glore is probably one of the highly most trafficked streets, boulevards in our area. So it's interesting that you say that, because how much study was done? Because again, I live in the 511 Minnesota airport area, and after Walmart left, Louis, our
Yeah.
area was dead. I remember growing up, there was a Carl's Jr. here. There was so much action, and then once Walmart left, we kind of thought, "Oh man, like this doesn't look good." But it seems as if this area, large in part because of SpaceX, is the new attractive area geographically speaking.
Yeah, I mean, out by the port, it's an interesting area just because you've got a mixture of everything out there. You've got residential, you've got industrial, you've got some retail. Yeah, without that Walmart, I think it was known that I represent Dollar Tree, and one of the top producing Dollar Trees is that one right there. And because they took away that Walmart, that was kind of the daily needs driver. Everybody was going over there instead. And now you got the DG market, but yeah, I mean, the city of Brownsville is underserved when it comes to retail and its potential. I mean, we've got so much land. I mean, the port is humming. Houses are coming. So I mean, there's going to be lots of development that are going to come. And you're right. I mean, these companies do their research. And one of the things about our area is that it's underreported. It's underreported when it comes to the amount of people here. It's underreported when it comes to the amount of money that's here. And so these companies really do have to do their own research. Some of these companies that have been down here or took a risk down here early have learned, and the sales numbers reflect it. But the thing about the Valley, though, is that not every brand or not every concept really hits. But when it does, they're rewarded.
Now, again, answer if you may, but
Yeah.
should we see more growth in the 511 area in your expertise? Is this the beginning of a long wave of new businesses that we should be seeing in the SpaceX port area?
Well, I think you're going to. I mean, the city has their industrial park real close to where this is. They're I think they're doing a ribbon cutting for the tech district. It's that area by where the railroad wraps underneath it, and then 550. It's a little west of here, kind of by Old Alice and the tollway. So I think just naturally that area is going to grow. Everybody talks about the Madeira project, but there's also the Estrella project, which is another master plan community that's going to be going on the old Tenasca land, and that's going to be a bunch of houses. And if you've been out to Tres Lagos in McAllen, that's the same developer that's doing that. So that's on that northwest quadrant of where this is at, because this is at the tollway and 511, or I think Paredes, or right around there. And so up on the northwest side, that's where that Estella project. It's going to be just as big as Madeira.
It's interesting to have a realtor / developer friends, because they always have the insights into the chatter that's out there. So again, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of insight into what the city of Brownsville has in store. And it seems, Louis, as if ever since SpaceX made Brownsville its home, once we heard Elon Musk moved most, if not all, of his companies from California and made Texas its headquarters, it seems as if Brownsville, is the place to be. Is it fair to say that, all of, I want to say, northern Brownsville will be seeing a boom in the near future? Is that what's next? Because again, we're landlocked. Should we be expecting a lot more development in the 511 area?
I think you're going to see. I mean, as far as residential development, I think we're already seeing where that's going. I think it's going to continue. I think you're also going to have. I think you're also going to see apartments starting to go up. As far as retail goes, there's a couple areas that I think are are going to be developed that already been announced, and that maybe haven't been announced yet. I mean, in the campaign I was talking about military and 802, that big piece of land. That's already, if you go out there, they're already cutting the streets. They're starting on that. I think there's a gas station going on. One of the things there's a bunch of gas stations that are coming on. Circle K, Quick Trip, Murphy Oil. They've been all touring. The city just passed an ordinance that I don't think anyone even talked about, that there's only one gas station allowed per corner, and so that's actually been a little concerning for me. Talking to some developers. One, because in the city of Brownsville, we don't have a lot of gas station, different types of brands, and so that's concerning, because maybe one brand may be just controlling the pricing. Two, we have a lot of older convenience stores, and so a lot of these older convenience stores were on like half an acre or an acre, and now we're doing bigger stores. So the old Antonio's, I was the one who redeveloped that. I assembled that piece. If you remember back in the day, it only had like a little gas station behind where the Antonio's was, and forever, like, it was just vacant. And so we were able to buy everything around it, and then we redeveloped it. But that's an example of an old gas station that was undersized, and we redeveloped it to be bigger. So now what gas stations are doing, since there's only one allowed per corner, they're kind of moving into the neighborhoods, or looking to see, or some of them may not even come in, or they may just stay on the fringe. So that's the reason why things get developed on the outside, because we have older developments down here. We have smaller parcels. And so for them to actually develop the way like these big cities or these companies are used to developing, they develop on like the suburban fringe, is what they call it.
Does the city of Brownsville have a problem with industrialized zoning? And I speak in regards to Millwhite. We had that issue where the neighborhoods behind that facility, it was a health hazard. It wasn't until the likes of Representative Gomez got involved and Commissioner Linda Macias that actually forced them out. Does the city of Brownsville have that, or should we be worried about this new industry, new businesses coming into our city? Should we be worried about that?
I don't think so. I mean, the city's planned out. I mean, that's what I was talking about when you were asking about, is that area going to grow? That area that's the one area of Brownsville that has all those different types. And so when it comes to industrial, and definitely heavy industrial, you have to have a buffer zone. You have to have something that's buffing the people away from that. I mean, that's definitely a concern. And that definitely should be people's concern, but the city has, they have metrics that they're supposed to be abiding by that should protect us. And then there's a zoning map. And so if anyone ever wants to look to see what is zoned, that'll show you what's allowed and what's not allowed. The only way you can really get around that is when you get you get a variance from the city. And so that has to go in front of the commission, and they draw a line and they say, yes, you can do it. But I would think majority of these projects are going on, towards the port. And then maybe the buffer zone will be, industrial warehousing. So the warehouses are in between the people and where the actual, manufacturing, the actual chemicals, are in the air.
Yeah, and that's very interesting, because again, you would think that this would be implemented at an early stage. Unfortunately, for whatever reasons, this was something back, 20, possibly 30 years ago, where this mistake was made, unfortunately. Now, Louie, with all this investment being made by Elon Musk, Amazon, and other businesses, many people have argued and said, well, maybe this is the turning point, Louis. Maybe this is the turning point when Brownsville is going to be actually competing with McAllen. Is that fair to say? Should we be looking forward to this?
I think it depends on the type of community that we build here. I think education is a big part of our community. Making sure that we have an educated population, and seeing, what types of jobs are going to be here. Because when any retailer comes into an area, they're going to ask what drives the economy, what types of jobs are here, and then depending on that answer is what the market demands are going to be, and then seeing what the sales numbers are. So I always ask people, are we going to become the next McAllen, or are we going to become the next Corpus? Because there's I think we're more in line with where Corpus is, with where our economic drivers are. And so those are the things that you really got to look at to see. I mean, Brownsville has a beautiful culture. It's got a beautiful landscape. We've got the border, we've got the sea, now we've got the space. So I think it's a big question mark still to see what's going to happen in Brownsville. But I think those are the two directions we may go. And so I'm really, I'm really interested to see what happens with UTRGV, how they continue in Brownsville, or how they continue to exit Brownsville. So I hope they continue to build here, because that's a huge thing when people come to move here. And there's a reason why they're building a school, they're building a community out there, and not doing it here.
Good thing you talked about UTRGV. I have a friend that makes the argument that downtown Brownsville is on life support. And the reason behind that is, or the telling thing about that is UTRGV. The UT system is a multi-million-dollar entity where, again, they do their due diligence. Now, again, they are investing their money in Majestic. They're going to spend $50-60 million to renovate that. But should we be alarmed, Louis, if an entity or a big entity and powerful such as UTRGV, the UT system, is not investing their money in downtown Brownsville, that is going up to Hidalgo County? Should we be alarmed by that?
I mean, I don't think it's up to them to develop downtown Brownsville. I think it's up to us, for sure. But I think it is up to us to make sure that we're it's up to our leaders to make sure that we've got the resources here available. If there's things that are not being offered by UTRGV, then we need to seek another institution that can offer that to our citizens. That's what leadership is. So we need to make sure that that's happening first and foremost. As far as downtown goes, that's a conversation I had with Pedro. Is, we need to make sure that we are focused on downtown. I was frank with him and said, hey, there's no question Ben Nee's focused on downtown when he was in District 4. Maybe the pendulum has swung a little too much away. I live by downtown. My business is downtown. I talked to Pedro. I know, they've got Sweet Co downtown. And so I've talked to a lot of the business owners, and we just want to make sure that downtown, we're not losing focus by, doing a lot of other things. But I think the university is a big driver. That's what I think needs to be in downtown. Like, if you look at all these downtowns across the nation that are working, it's all about live, work, play. And so are people living there? Not really. Are people working there? Yeah, you've got people. You're always going to have entry-level employees at the county, at the city. Maybe they're the type that are young professionals. So you're always going to have that there. You don't have people living. You have some people working, and then you're having some people starting to play there. So it's about, do we have enough there? I know now we have First Fridays. We're having Space Fest in a couple weeks. So a lot of things that that people do come downtown, and so it's the parking. Where do I park? I've always said that I think we should use a switch yard. The city owns a switch yard, and if you activate that side of downtown, maybe that creates a whole a bigger portion. But I also think you have to think about the people that are that are coming from across, that are walking there. I mean, there's a community of people that shop and get entertained down there as well. So I think you just have to think about everybody, but downtown's a big thing that I want to see, in these next 4 years, focus on for District 4, because if we're going to grow, we need to focus on that downtown as well.
You spoke about how there is a lack of people living in downtown.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts in regards to the Jardín Hotel and the Samano building? Is this something that would benefit downtown by having people live in the area, possibly a grocery store in the area? Is that something to look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, having more people down there means, it's all about these little ecosystems that you build. And so if people, the first movers came out there, they were successful. More restaurants came out there. So what happens is you have market share, right? You have a certain number of people that are dining out there. And so when another business opens up, what happens is either more people come out and the market grows, and so there's enough market share to go around, or one business is going to take away from the other business, and that business isn't going to survive. And so when you put people down there, when you put people starting to live down there, now they're spending their money because it's really close to go eating down there, dining down there. And so you create this ecosystem. So that's why that live, work, play effect works for downtowns.
And bigger cities have this. We see how there's lofts. There are many lofts in downtown, whether it's San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, and they have the entertainment districts around that area. So it's interesting hearing it from you, because when I think of El Jardín, Section 8, and then I hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chat, I heard that Mayor Cowan, when he addressed the state of the city, he stated that the Samano building, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to be utilized to help individuals that have substance abuse issues. So when I heard, okay, El Jardín Section 8, maybe crime is going to be prevalent downtown. Maybe it's not going to be for the best, but the way you're explaining it makes sense.
So So downtown, the reason why downtown is really hard to develop is because these aren't regular investments. These aren't like, when we talked about suburban fringe, those are regular investments. You're buying land, you're building a building, you have a certain number of parking that's required by the city. When you're going downtown, you're getting a 0 lot line building. You're getting a 75-plus-year-old building that needs to be rehabbed, that probably doesn't have a good roof. I mean, there's all these issues that you're having to deal with, and then the model to get money back is like through tax credits, and there's different types of mechanisms that you're getting the return on your investment. And so they're complex investments, and two, they require someone that believes in downtown or has enough money to invest in these buildings. And so these big buildings that you're talking about, I mean, these are, I think one was done through the Housing Authority. The other one was done through CDCB. So you've got both of those are being used as vehicles to rehab these buildings. And so my understanding is, yes, I think it has to be a certain percentage of low-income housing. And so what they're going to do is, I assume what they're going to do is they're going to blend it. And so I lived in downtown Dallas for about 5 years, and I was in downtown Dallas as it was also redeveloping. One of my buddies who's here from Brownsville as well, he lived across the street. He lived in one of those apartments that a major developer came in. The city of Dallas gave them some grants for it was Section 8 housing, and a certain percentage of the building was occupied, and another percentage wasn't. And so it might be a mixed bag, but I think what they're trying to do is these developments are really hard. Everybody's wanted El Jardín to be redeveloped for a long time, and this is the vehicle that they use to get it done.
Now, when I think of downtown Brownsville, old downtown Brownsville, I think of Ropa Usadas. We had a lot of people coming from Matamoros and shopping in these different stores. Ortega says that we have many unoccupied buildings, to name a few. How can our city, how could the city commission entice business owners to open up shop? Is it a possibility to where we're going to fade away from the, those type of stores?
I don't. Just to answer his question, the Big Lots is becoming Burlington. The Party City is becoming Dollar Tree. I'm not too sure what's happening to the cons yet, but I know somebody's working on that. And then to answer your question, as long as there's a market, as long as there's a demand, as long as there's a demand for those things are never going to go away. And so that's why is Brownsville going to change? Well, if the people of Brownsville change, then Brownsville's going to change. But if the people of Brownsville stay the same, and we still are demanding what we want, we're still shopping for the same things, then Brownsville's not going to change. When the market changes, when the demands change. And so if new people come in, or if people are making more money and are wanting, more expensive things or nicer things, so that's when things are going to come in, because that's when it makes business sense for those things to come in.
What's your vision for downtown? How do you see the city of Brownsville? Is it going to be the entertainment district, let's say 10 years from now? Is that a possibility?
Like downtown?
Yes.
I think downtown is still up in the air. I mean, we've been talking about it for so long, but I think it's sad to say that I think it's still up in the air. I mean, I think the businesses that have established themselves are there to stay. If times get tough, that's when the demand changes. If time gets tough, that's when people stop going downtown, because it's expensive to go every night, because it's not cheap to go out there down there. So if the demands change, then those businesses get affected. But I feel that there's enough flow right now with the businesses that are there without changing anything. But if you inject more people down there, well, then there's going to be more demand, and there's going to be call for more things. But so it's survival of the fittest when it comes to downtown, because it is destinational. People have to seek it out.
Yeah, and I understand, every city needs an identity. When we think of Nolans, we think of Bourbon Street. Everybody, whenever you go to New Orleans, you have to go to Bourbon Street. When you go to San Antonio, you have to go to the Riverwalk. So I understand the need for us to get some sort of identity. Do you remember, Louie? I'm sure you do. Do you remember that they wanted to do like a Riverwalk here? And it was going to be, do you know where Danny's is at? The old Danny's, like if you're going towards the Miguel Mall? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's not over. That's
really?
Not over.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, there's those things. Yeah, those things are still in talks. Look up the pedestrian bridge. There's a pedestrian bridge that they're trying to. Hi, Jessica. There's a pedestrian bridge that they're trying to build right there, and I think that's a part of that. From Matamoros to Brownsville. And then there's a couple other bridges. I know Flor de Mayo is the next bridge that they're going to build out by Alton Glore. But I don't think that riverfront project is dead quite yet.
And this is interesting because, again, I first heard about this, Louie, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Where, again, we want it to be something like San Antonio, to where we have shops, restaurants, the entertainment district. So for you to say this, I Googled it, and very quickly, Yeah. There is a possibility that the riverfront development here in Brownsville may be a possibility.
Yeah. No, I mean, these things are in the works. I mean, I think there's everybody's working on something. I mean, this is coming from the county, and I'm on the Housing Finance Corporation. So I hear about some of these projects, and I know that this one is still in the works. And, I know the city's working on their projects, and that's why I was talking about the 6th and 7th Street connectors, connecting 6th Street into Amigaland and 7th Street out back through the switch yard, and then that's when I learned about, we've got the city levy, and then we've got, I guess the federal levy, and that's the one that's on the other side of Amigaland. So we have to get, I guess, federal authority to go through it, or we have to build a bridge that goes over it, because of flooding purposes. So there's all these different things that, these projects take a lot of time, but hopefully, everybody's working, or all these different entities are working on all these projects. We'd hope that some of them do come to fruition.
I thought Bill Hudson was going to do a river walk on Paredes. I always thought it was downtown Brownsville. The river walk.
Yeah.
Did you hear something on Paredes?
Well, I think that's the neighborhood that back there behind the convention center and the Walmart. I think that was all man-made Resaca's. I think that was a Bill Hudson project, and that's along Paredes. But that was underneath Paredes, going to the event center. But this is the riverfront project.
Ortega asked, "Are we getting a Ruth Chris?"
I think McAllen's getting one first. Ruth Chris is definitely looking down here, but I think, as a lot of things happen, I think McAllen's going to get it first. McAllen's getting a really cool development. Well, right now they're building a Class A office building at kind of north of 10th and Trenton, and then by the old convention center in McAllen, they're building. They're doing a lot there, but Pluckers is also looking to try to come into the valley. So hopefully we'll see those two come here pretty quick.
Wow. And again, every time I pass Roadhouse, it doesn't matter if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, good luck finding traffic. I think they made a deal, Louie, with the bank next door, because the bank was towing cars, and I think they kind of said, "Hey, man, give us a break," But again, we have Longhorn, which is also very good. But to me personally, you can't compare Ruth Chris. To me, Ruth Chris is like, I remember I went to Dallas, and I tried Ruth Chris for the very first time, and I was like, "Wow, this is what a steak should taste like."
So the thing is, the company that owns Olive Garden, the company that owns Cheddar's, they're the same owner as Ruth Chris, and they're also the same owner as Longhorn. So the thing is, I mean, if I'm them, like, I don't even need to look at the traffic. I don't need to look at any of that. Just go look at what your Olive Garden, what your Longhorn, what your Cheddar's are making in the city of Brownsville. Put a Ruth Chris, you'll make a bunch of money.
It should be no brainer. And
exactly.
Again, I'm glad you came on, because we, the outside people who aren't in your world, we're not privy to that information. So it's fair to say, Louie, that the city of Brownsville does have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, no, there's a lot to look forward to. And that's why a lot of the issues that I brought up were just, I wanted to just really push that message and make sure people are, just at least thinking that way, because I think a lot of times we get focused in what's kind of going on in our world, and we forget, I think that there's a lot of eyes that are looking here. And when I hear them say, like, "Hey, we don't want to go down here, it's too scrappy, we don't like these developments," like, because and so to me, it's like, oh, well, we need to change that. We need to create a welcoming environment. And so that's why, like, on the west side, I always called it a blank canvas, because there's just a lot of things that haven't been developed out there. There's more growth that's going on that 281 corridor. And if we don't build retail out there, it's going to be a desert forever, because it's all going to fill in with homes, and then we're not going to leave any space for that. And so I just, that was like the message I wanted to kind of drive home. and then that West Loop corridor. I mean, if we can activate that, then we can try to get that HEB or some type of grocery store out there. And the Lowe's land will be developed soon too. So things are coming to the west side. It's just a matter of time. We just have to be patient. And that's the conversations that I've been having with Pedro, and that's why I've gotten behind him on his campaign.
We did see how Mr. Pedro Cardenas did state that you have endorsed him. If you could talk to us a little bit about your experience running for District 4, what did you learn, if anything? What are you going to come? What do you take home with you and say, man, I'm glad I ran because of XYZ?
Yeah, no, I think for me, running at, I'm about to be 35 in 2 weeks. And so I think running at that age and just having the privilege to be able to do that, because it's not a cheap endeavor. It's something that, you really have to be, both feet in. And I took like 6 weeks away to kind of reflect before, jumping into this campaign. A lot of people I had told a lot of people I was going to do it early on. It was a journey. Pedro was actually the one that, I first told I was going to run, because he had told me he was going to run for at large. And so it was kind of weird when he came back in. I was already kind of into it, and I told him, hey, I'm going to continue with it. And he respected that decision. It was kind of tricky. And one of the reasons I decided, because I thought it was very split, with having, being in a race against an incumbent where people on the commission are not endorsing the incumbent is a very odd situation to be in. So I think everybody for the most part kept a very clean campaign from District 4. That was really the goal from the beginning. Getting to know all the candidates was also interesting. Some that were very inviting, and some that may have not been. And then going through the process of learning, my district, learning the people of the district, reconnecting with people, and then seeing who supports you and who doesn't support you, or who says they do support you and they really don't support you, or seeing who's hedging on you because, like, hey, you're making some good points, but we're with this person, but we really like what you're saying. So it was good. I think what I really wanted to do was talk about that message, talk about why the economy and why us increasing our sales tax revenue is important, because then we can have more things, we can provide more services to our citizens. And so I think that message was big. And then talking about the same things that everybody talks about. We're always talking about infrastructure. We're always talking about streets. We're always talking about drainage. So it's like, and that's why I was trying to give that message, was like, hey, maybe, we shouldn't fault the city. Everybody wants to do it. Maybe the city just doesn't have the resources to do it. And so what if we take a different approach and we look at it and say, hey, how do we give our city the resources? Instead of criticizing our city, how do we say, hey, city, let's go make money. Let's all go do it together, and let's rise everybody, because if SpaceX and all this is going to happen, let's make sure that our city is shining bright, because that's what these other cities have done. And then I think the one thing that our campaign didn't, or that not the other ones did, was, like, I kept talking about our history, restoring our district's treasures. And I think, being District 4, being the downtown, being the historic West Side, like, we are the original town site of Brownsville. I think understanding that, and then understanding the history of the railroad and the history of how that railroad cut the West Side off from the rest of the city is important, to understand that history and why it needs to intentionally be stitched into the community, and why we need to start, like, trying to develop the West Side, because for 100 years there was a train that stopped there and nothing was going to be developed, because stopped. And so now it's no longer there, and we need to, but there's a community that's there. And so that was our message. I think I learned that politics is not business. It's a different game. It's very business people do work with politicians, but politics is not business. I think that's a big thing that I did learn. You can have a friend one day and not the next, which is interesting too. And it does take big money. It does take big money. It does take big influence, and being able to navigate that is an important thing. I think I don't regret running. I think we accomplished the goals that we set out to do. Will I run again? I think today I would say yes, but you never know what situation you might be in 4 years, or where the pendulum may swing again. I think we're definitely seeing a pendulum swing going on right now, and I hope people see that. I think a vote for Pedro is a vote to balance power. I think that gives Tino a little more leeway. I think if you assume Nurith wins, I think it gives the at-large candidates kind of more power to kind of balance. And so I think that would be interesting to see that, because when you don't have a balance of power, you have one-sided power. And so I think it's important. It's important to have a balance, because then everybody gets a voice, and that's the reason why everybody's elected, so that every constituency has an equal voice.
It's interesting that you say, because you don't really understand politics until you actually run for a position. It's not for the weak-hearted. You have to take things with a grain of salt, because again, at the end of the day, it's politics. It's funny because I would take everything personal at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, like I'm offended. But after a while, you're like, you would expect certain friends, certain family to root for you. The main thing that I said was, at least, I'm not asking for money. Just support me. Just give me the thumbs up. That's all I want. But it is interesting the way you say that you are supporting Mr. Pedro Cardenas, because ultimately you feel as if he would be the better representative for District 4. From what I understood from you, is that the mayor and his majority might take over, and maybe possibly that might not benefit District 4, because at the end of the day, the most powerful thing on that city commission is if you could reach your number 4. As of right now, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, Mr. Pedro Cardenas is in the minority, from my understanding. We do have the likes of Nurith Galonsky, who is currently in a runoff, who is being supported by Mayor Cowan. Daisy Zamora is being supported by Mayor Cowan. So essentially, what it seems as if is at stake is the betterment of District 4. We're not saying that Daisy Zamora is not going to focus on District 4, but politics is politics. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, politics is politics. I mean, my main issue, I think, right now, and I think the biggest difference is the West Rail, the West Rail Parkway. So that road there, that's going to cut through the west side. That's the main issue. Pedro has told me he will support it. He will work with the county to make sure that road happens. Daisy, those signatures that she talks about, those signatures, I mean, if we remember back in the day, it wasn't build the trail, it was stop the road. That's what it was. And so so for District 4 and for economic development, and for us to see a better future in District 4, that's why I'm with Pedro.
One issue that I did want to bring up, again, this issue is moot, is the venue, because the venue, Louie, would have been built, if passed, it would have been built in District 4. And when you talk about an investment of $200, possibly $300 million, that's like a gold mine. It was interesting. The only the only thing that I found odd was that Mr. Cardenas stated that he wasn't in support of the venue, when in reality, when you really look at it, who wouldn't want to have, who wouldn't want to benefit? What commissioner wouldn't want to benefit from doing nothing? Because at the end of the day, Cameron County was going to invest that money. So essentially, it was going to bring District 4 economic development, growth for the future. That's the only issue that I saw in him saying that he was opposed to the venue. Mr. Jaime Diaz states, from the Tanasca audit, why not launch an investigation to see if management intentionally misrepresented or omitted key information in order to ensure that the project, as it related rate hikes, would be approved by the board and ultimately the city of Brownsville? I think the citizens of Brownsville had good reason to mistrust the municipal government. What are your thoughts, Louie, on Tanasca and the PUB fiasco?
Yeah, I think there is definitely, I guess, from what my understanding was, there definitely was something that was kept from the public, and I mean, how much, I think, is the question of that's what the people should know. I think the city doing an audit, it was important, and but I don't know if the citizens got what they wanted. I mean, the city is going to, the city's going to do what they're going to do. I mean, we have to respect that, but it is dicey when you've got, the commissioners, and then you've got their appointees as the board members, and then now you've got, you really the city against PUB. So you really don't want to be on that board right now. It's a tough situation. I hope we can get through it, because I think there's bigger things that we need to focus on. I think the Tanasca deal is in the past. We need to figure out, okay, what is it that happened, and if hopefully it's good enough. But if it's not, I mean, we definitely need to put it to bed, though.
And you're right. The city of Brownsville has turned the page, so to speak. They credited PUB customers for X amount of dollars. Do you think that it is in the best interest of the citizens of Brownsville to have competition? Does PUB have a stranglehold on the city? And again, we want to prevent things such as this from happening, and maybe competition is good. Should we open up the market?
I don't know, because I think it's our utility board. I mean, opening up the market, for me, all that tells me is, like, I talked about that ecosystem. Remember, we don't put money into our utility board. We're going to put money into somebody else's utility board, and that money is going to go to Dallas, or that money is going to go to Houston, or the money is going to go to Mercedes, or wherever it is that company is. And we need to remember that it's still a part of our city, and it still benefits our city. It still gives back to our city. It's still our utility company. And so I think we need to work with it, because those are our people, and we can't forget. We can't think we're on different teams. We have to remember we're here all for the citizens of Brownsville.
Right. And you're absolutely correct. The one, I want to say damning, but the one thing that kind of affects, in my opinion, affects Ms. Daisy Zamora and even Nudith Galansky was that they were former, if not currently sit on the PUB board. Mr. Jaime Diaz states, this is a direct quote from audit page 26. The auditor suggested an investigation, and it's not in the past. We need to correct past injustices, and if there is or were any criminal activity, we need justice. If not, we create a system in which crime really does pay. Well, also, I hope you all are doing good.
Yeah, if the auditor's suggestion was an investigation and there hasn't been an investigation, then yes. I mean, that's a problem.
Again, it's a never dull day in Brownsville and Cameron County politics, it seems. Mr. Louie Tijerina, thank you so much for your time. What should the citizens of Brownsville expect from Mr. Tijerina in the future?
Uh, That's a interesting question. So I'm definitely going to be focusing on my business this summer. I'm getting back into coaching. So I'll be coaching cross country this summer, getting ready for the cross country season. I'll be training myself. I'll be doing my business. As far as politics goes, you know, I'm looking to see, which party or what I'm going to get involved in. I think I want to kind of I learned a little bit about each party here and some of the good things, some of the bad things of each of them. So just kind of getting involved and, listening and seeing, how I can help support. I like organizing. Community organizing is a fun thing for me. Being a candidate versus organizing a community is very different. So I think over the next few years, probably, working on that, maybe helping people that I believe, some people that helped me with my campaign, maybe working inside their campaign, just doing that. So we'll see. But right now I'm just going to kind of take some time to myself over the summer, and then in the fall, I'll kind of see what's going on in politics and get involved a little bit.
Again, there's no question in my mind that you bring a lot to the table. You would be a great asset for the city, or as Ortega suggested, on any board within our local community. Louie Tijerina, thank you so much for your time, sir. Again, if there's any time down the road where you want to come on, the space is yours. We can talk about anything. Again, it's just you and I talking, Louie.
Exactly.
It's no one else is listening, so don't worry. But again, thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna tell you what someone told me. Someone that I love very much said, if serving your community is something that you can see yourself doing, keep at it. This is a learning experience for me personally. I lost my race for BISD. I took it hard. I'm a competitor. I spent close to $10,000 of my own money, and I took it the worst way. I was those kids that threw myself on the ground and started crying. But I have used that as a way for motivation. And the community, what they want is somebody that is going to be involved, somebody that when nobody's looking, they're going to be trying to, make us a better place. So again, it's very encouraging to see someone like you is very knowledgeable. You have a lot to bring to the table. And again, people want to see you around. Your platform was strong. Your message was very clear, and it resounded with a lot of people. So first and foremost, thank you so much for what you want. You want Brownsville, you want District 4 to be a better place. So again, if there's anything that we can do to help along the way, I consider myself a nobody in the city, but I try my best as much as possible. So thank you so much for your time, and hopefully maybe soon, hey, if you want to be a regular on the show, man, once a week, the space is yours, my man.
Okay, we can talk about it. I need to get my ducks in a row, and then maybe we can talk about doing something on a regular basis.
You heard it here first with Mr. Louie Tijerina. Thank you so much, Louie. Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a great day. Let's kick butt. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to tune in. Good Morning Brownsville, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Same Batman time, same Batman channel. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Have a good day, Louie.